guys. Well, we're gonna kick off the stories.
Kick off the stories.
I
guess. Goddamn, are we not done talking about this fucking thing?
Nope. Hi, and welcome to the SaVeg podcast.
I'm Rose, also known as Cheap Lazy Vegan on YouTube.
And I'm Daniel, one of your favorite guest stars on Cheap Lazy Vegan's YouTube channel.
We're two friends who love to talk about the latest trending topics.
So get comfortable and join us while we give our SaVeg take on just about everything.
You are currently listening to the previous episode of this podcast, but if you would like to listen to this week's episode and get some exclusive content, go over to patreon.com/thesavagepodcast.
Hello. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to another fun-filled episode.
Is it going to be fun-filled?
Well, I don't know.
We'll find out.
Depends how nice you are to me.
What sort of depressing news we got today?
We got all sorts coming at you guys.
But before we get to the depressing news, hi guys, how are we?
I feel like it's been a while.
I feel like it has. It's because we recorded before we went to Vancouver, and then we haven't recorded since. So it's been a while. We are back.
And also, we usually record on Mondays, and we pushed it back.
Right.
So
because yesterday was my father's birthday. Lots of April birthdays.
Really?
Yeah. So like I have, two of my friends, their birthdays. Is it two of my friends? Yeah, two of my friends. And then Nari's birthday, which was April 10th. What is today? The 12th? Mm-hmm. Dad's birthday, April 11th.
Yep.
That's already 4.
My dad's birthday is April as well.
There you go. God damn, what it be like? April.
It's crazy. I like, to be honest, guys, like just to humble brag about my birthday. I love that my birthday's in June.
Oh, that's a nice birthday time.
Because it's like perfect. Because you know all of my friends that have birthdays like kind of close to Christmas or around Christmas time, it's like it all gets kind of packaged into Christmas sort of.
Oh, that would suck, honestly.
Yeah, like especially when it's super close. But mine is like perfect. It's like growing up, at least I had like Christmas time, and then I had like a full 6 months, like half the year. Then it was my birthday, so I got super excited for that, and then I had a full 6. It was like perfectly.
You okay there?
Oh gosh.
It was perfectly in the middle.
Yeah.
So it's a perfect balance.
Yeah.
I see. Very, very nice.
So when I give birth, I'm hoping it's in June.
We just got to time it properly, Daniel.
Got to make sure we're having that sex just 9 months before.
Got to get that. Exactly.
God damn.
You know in Korea it's 10 months.
Oh my God.
What? Oh my God. No. Well, we'll just keep it. Yeah. All right, guys. So that initial part, you missed our facial expressions, which of course is very sad.
That is sad.
I know. So we forgot to turn on the camera.
The thing is,
but hi, we're back. We're back on the camera for those of you that are watching on YouTube.
Exactly. Well,
we actually forgot to turn on the camera for the last what was it? 5 minutes?
Not even. It was like 2 minutes.
Okay, fine. Even. We were having a very good discussion about Daniel's birthday.
Yep. And why I like that my birthday's in June,
which is coming up.
Oh my God, it is.
Isn't it crazy? I honestly cannot understand time right now.
I know.
Like someone is scamming us all and the clocks are going faster.
I feel like, and I also feel, I think it's because like, honestly, like my own personal belief about time and like up until about 18, because like when you're a child and stuff, and this might just be my experience, guys, I don't know if you have the same one, but like up until 18, it's like your responsibilities and everything was like limited. You know what I mean? Like, and then as you get older, depending on you as like your own situation, but as you get older, your responsibilities start to ramp up. And I feel like as that happens, and I feel like once you get to midlife, it's like, that's like part of the busiest time of your life, right? Like you have like house obligations, family obligations, maybe your parents need help, all this kind of stuff, all in this like period of time. And the more busy you are, yes, you're generally more productive, but also the time goes faster.
Right.
Because your time
every day
is
all like jam-packed.
Exactly. You're always full of doing stuff. And the next thing you know, you're like, holy shit, this year's done.
God, it's so depressing.
I know. Like, I feel like since I've gotten into my 30s, the last almost 4 years has just flown by.
God, it's so sad. It's true. And I remember crazy. Even because like I've been saying like time is flying by since, I was like, in my 20s, basically. Yeah. And you're right. I think when you're like a child or a teenager, you're also kind of like looking forward to maybe like graduating university, or maybe like, I don't know, you're kind of like wrapped up in your own little world. Yeah. So I feel like time doesn't go by as fast or something. I don't know. There's some kind of reasoning. But when you're like an adult, you're probably right. It's probably all the, obligations and things that we have to do. Yeah. And I remember, when I was like in my 20s, when we were living in London, my boss at the time, I was like chatting with her, and I was like, she was probably like in her 40s, 50s or something. And I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe like, time goes by so fast. She's like, what did she say? She's like, as you get older, it just goes by faster and faster. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so depressing. And it's so true.
Yeah. I think it will accelerate naturally. Like, I mean, as you have more things that you've taken on. And I think
But maybe once we retire.
I think that's when it will slow down.
slow down.
Yeah, because if you think about it, when you retire, you don't, I mean, depending on the person, you're going to have less going on in your life, right? A lot of your obligations are done at that point, you know?
Right.
So maybe you have family things going on or things like that. But I think, again, I don't know. If you're retired, let us know what it's like. But like, I would feel like maybe time goes a little bit slower at that
Do you think 2020 went by slower though? Like in your mind?
I do, because remember, I felt like...
Well, you didn't do anything.
No, I know. I was like, I literally...
So maybe that is true.
That year, I worked it out, 3 months of that year when the pandemic happened, 3 months of it I spent in like basically some form of quarantine. So like that's insane. Like it's actually insane.
And those 3 months went by slowly.
Yeah. And I think, and I remember talking to a lot of people during the pandemic and being like, like how, like, everyone felt like, oh my God, this feels like it's been going on for years.
Right.
But even though no one was like, oh wow, 2020 is over. They were more like, oh my God, I feel like this has been dragged on for much longer. So,
I mean, partially it's because also pandemic.
Yeah, that's true.
But I do think compared to 2021, like 2020 was slow compared to 2021. 2021 was like,
blinked.
Like, did it even happen?
Yeah.
Like, I felt like, it was like I blinked and then it was 2022. So it's like, it's crazy. Like, I don't even understand how we're in 2022.
I know.
Anyways,
almost
it's crazy.
Through 2022.
Oh, goddamn. Guys, what the fuck? What is happening?
This world
We're
is...
too busy.
I know. We are too busy.
Anyway, we're going to do Patreon shout outs.
Right.
If you guys don't know, we have a Patreon. Of course you know, because we mention it every week. But if you join us, then you get every episode ad-free and a week earlier than everybody else, so in a much more timely fashion. And you get a little shout out.
You sure do.
In the beginning of each episode.
Yeah.
So we're going to shout out. Do you remember where we left off, Daniel?
Yeah, I do. We left off at...
Bella?
Yeah. So I think we're at...
Hi, Bella.
Hi, Bella. We're at...
Vera. My mama's name.
Yeah. Malika?
Maybe it's Malika?
Malika?
I don't
Malika?
know.
Yeah.
And Charlie.
And also, one of our Patreons, I think we forgot to shout you out, so I'm sorry. Emily, we're doing a shout out now.
Sorry, Emily. Yeah. We are a mess.
I don't know how we missed you, but I do apologize. So. Yeah.
Oh yeah. By the way, if we miss you guys, just let us know. We will give you a shout out next time.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're a mess.
Yeah. We're disorganized chaos.
Yes.
You know, it's so funny actually. Speaking of disorganized chaos, like I laughed so hard. So you know how you just
disorganized chaos.
Yeah.
You know it's supposed to be organized chaos.
I didn't know that. Well,
like, but the whole point of chaos is that it's already disorganized.
True, but it's even worse if it's disorganized chaos.
But that's the whole point of chaos.
Yeah.
So there's no point of saying the reason why people say it's like organized chaos is just if, like, let's say you have like tons of stuff.
Yeah.
But then it's like in its own
place.
You know
where everything is.
That's like organized chaos.
No, I get that. But I like the idea of disorganized chaos just because,
Okay.
Let me have it, Rose. So
stop trying to make it happen, Daniel.
I'm gonna make it happen, guys. Disorganized chaos. But Rose just recently posted a video on her personal YouTube channel. And it was I'm like stumbling on my words right now.
You mean the Vancouver one?
And honestly,
did you watch it?
I did watch it.
Did you love every minute?
Oh my God, it cracked me up because I went into the comment section, right? And there was somebody that commented, and they were like, what did they say? They were like, Daniel, Rose, I think you guys are just about as mad as each other, but it works or something, or like enjoy your crazy madness. And then keeping that in mind, I like watched the whole video with that, like thinking like, how we come across in this video.
Sure.
And we're crazy. Yeah, like literally we're just like all over the place. So much shit. All of a sudden you're screaming about a sock on the floor. Like there's just, I was like, how did so much happen in that hotel room when we just arrived? I was like, what?
I know. We were like, as I was editing this,
yeah,
because I think, I made it into 2 videos because like I wanted to put everything in one video, but I was like, okay, this is too crazy. Like I want at least on my main channel, I want it to be like more food focused.
Of course. Yeah.
But then it was just so funny to me, like all the shit that we like talked about.
And it was like just entering the room. It was just like crazy.
We're just crazy. Okay?
Yeah.
So yes, we're like, as I was editing, I'm like, God, we're like actually fucking insane.
I was laughing so hard because the whole time I was keeping that in mind about how people are like, oh, you guys are just as mad as each other. And like,
that's why it works.
I know. I was like, oh my God, it was a lot, but I enjoyed every moment of it. Like it was, It was so good.
But then, it's weird because I feel like it works in friendships when you're like the same. But then they say that in relationships, it's better if like you kind of have like different personalities.
And you're opposite.
But like, why?
I don't know.
Like, why does it work for friendships?
I think I think this is very...
Is it just subjective?
It's subjective. And it's what people say, right? Like, because I'm sure there's great relationships out there where people are the same, similar.
Right.
And there's great relationships where people are... I think a lot of it depends on the individuals and how they handle themselves in a relationship, right? Mm-hmm, regardless if they're like the same or not. You know what I mean? So...
Interesting.
Yeah. So they always say, opposites attract.
But I do find that like, when I see like long-term relationships, most of the time... what I see is like, maybe not most, I think it's most. They are like not necessarily complete opposites, but they definitely are different in that like personality wise. Yeah. Interesting. But like with friendships, I kind of look for similar, personalities, like us fucking chaos.
Oh my God. Honestly, guys, check out the video. Honestly,
you disorganized chaos.
You want to see
as opposed to organized.
Yeah. You want to see some disorganized chaos? Because I think it's even more chaotic than organized chaos because we don't even know where anything is, and it is chaos. Check out.
We're just like so insane.
I was like, I literally was like, I just can't believe that this happened. And the weird thing is like, it wasn't even our whole Vancouver trip. It was just like the 30 minutes of when we entered the hotel room. Like literally
we're just being crazy.
And I'm like, I remember like blaming that sock on you.
Yeah. You're being sexist.
And I was like, it was your sock. Maybe it was stuck to your bag.
Basically, long story short, there was this sock on the floor of the hotel room when we walked in, and it was like not a sock, it was like a stocking,
it was like a
pantyhose
or whatever.
Okay?
Yeah.
And it was like in the corner, and I saw it and I was like, ew, that's gross. And then Daniel was like, it's yours. I was like, Daniel, it's not mine. Anyway, you have to watch it.
Oh god damn.
Anyway, back to the stories,
guys. Well, we're gonna kick off the stories.
Kick off the I guess, goddamn, are we not done talking about this fucking thing?
No, you know what? It is great press for the Oscars. They're milking it for all it's worth.
Okay, we're talking again about the fucking slap. Anyone else sick of talking about this? It's been like a month now.
I want to just slap this slap away.
God damn.
I'm be tired of it.
Well, okay, so it says, I heard this. Academy bans Will Smith from Oscars for 10 years.
Yeah. So initial thoughts, Rose, what do you think about this?
Well, you guys know my theory, which was very unpopular.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that were like,
no one agreed. Yeah. But you know what? I'm still sticking by it. Okay. You know why? Because I'm a conspiracy theorist.
I can see that.
Well, especially because I know it doesn't really fucking matter.
I know.
So I feel like it's fun to conspire. You know what? This is what it feels like to be like a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah. When everyone's against you and you're like,
yeah. But I know the truth, But at least I'm doing it about something that literally there's no consequences for me believing
it doesn't really
this.
matter.
So I'm going to keep believing it.
Yeah.
I mean, and when I first saw this, I was like, oh, maybe this proves that like it did happen. But then I'm like, it doesn't necessarily prove that it didn't that it wasn't intentional.
Well, and this is the thing too. So in this article, it's saying like I guess there's a board of governors for the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences.
That's a long ass title.
It is. They met. So a group of, who knows who's in this group. They met and they were like, you know what? The consequences, that was unacceptable. He has to get banned from the Academy Awards, Academy events, including the Oscars, for 10 years. The interesting thing is, and I don't know like fully, but my understanding is like they're banning him from like attending.
Yeah, they say that he can still win awards.
But he can still get nominated and win.
And I thought Will Smith resigned.
Yeah, like
already beforehand.
Like a couple of years ago, I swear to God, him and Jada.
But that was a different case.
Yeah, but they were both like, we're not going to come to the, we're banning the, you know what I mean? So I'm just like.
And then this year, well, basically, I thought that before this whole discussion of him being banned for 10 years.
Yeah.
I thought he had already resigned, whatever that means. Yeah. From like attending or whatever. So I'm just like, okay, what, like, again, it just feels again like a PR move.
Yeah. Just kind of like,
because what are the real consequences? Because he can't attend the events, but really, I feel like, you know what, that might be, for us, normal people, we might think that that's like a big deal. But this dude has been in Hollywood for like, 30 years?
Yeah.
I don't think it's like a big deal for him, Yeah,
I think it would be different if he was like starting his career and stuff. But like, again, he has been in this.
And he can still win.
Yeah.
That's the whole point.
And also, I was telling Rose earlier, I was watching Saturday Night Live this weekend. And they did a really funny, they were like talking about this. I'm sure it was Saturday Night Live. And they were mentioning, it was like they're talking about this and they're like, okay, like the reality of the like Oscars is like it is a very long event to be like, we see some of it on televised and stuff, but actually going and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like a 4-hour seated event.
I know. It sounds like exhausting.
Yeah. So you're like sat there. It's like not great. They're like, you know what? Actually banning him from that is not a punishment. If you want to punish him, make him host it for the 4 hours, you know, make him stuck there so that he has to like, you know, stay there for the whole time. Not just be like, oh, you don't have to come anymore. You know, you can still win the award, but just from the comfort of your home.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Exactly.
Slap my wrist.
Oh my God. What a horrible punishment.
I know. So like some people might disagree, but again, I think if I was like starting out in my career as an actor, I would be like devastated. I'm like, oh my God, I'm not gonna be able to go to these events and stuff. Because initially it's like probably so exciting, right?
Of course.
But I mean, how many of these has he been to?
He's like, again, he's been to so many. He's a seasoned actor.
Yeah.
Actor being the key word.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see the thing I posted on our Instagram page?
I did see that, yeah.
What was it again? I forgot. His book sale.
Yeah, his book
conveniently,
his
he
book
also has a book coming out.
Yeah.
Just saying, guys. Just saying. I will die on this fucking hill.
I know. You are literally like, no one will sway your mind.
I just think it's fun.
Yeah. Like
honestly, to be completely honest, I'm sure there's like a big chance that it was real.
Yeah.
But it's still fun to speculate.
I'm starting to think that it really was. Like, I mean, I was always on the fence anyway. Yeah. Like I wasn't one way or the other. I was like, oh, maybe it was a PR stunt. Like maybe it was real.
Sure.
Now, but again, this could be a PR stunt as well because
exactly.
they're like, oh,
they're like, we need to make it look real, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I mean, we could conspiracize about everything.
You guys, we're talking about Hollywood, okay?
Yeah.
I don't trust these motherfuckers.
Well, it's like so much stuff in Hollywood that comes out later where you find out like, oh, like these two people were never dating, or like, do you know what I mean? And the whole time they made us believe this like lie.
Exactly. They're very good. Like these are trained PR professionals.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway.
they have a whole PR team. So
but yeah, so Will Smith banned from the Oscars doesn't really mean anything.
No.
It just means that he doesn't get to go and slap more people on stage.
Yeah.
So that's fun.
And I guess they were saying like during our telecast, we did not adequately address the situation in the room. For this, we are sorry. This is an opportunity for us to set an example for our guests.
For this, we are sorry. Is this the royal family?
It is. This is an opportunity for us to set an example for our guest viewers and our Academy family around the world. And we fell short. Unprepared and unprecedented.
I think the fact that you did say that they have to go there, sit for 4 hours, probably even longer, you know, getting ready and everything.
Yep.
You know what? Maybe that's why he was sitting there antsy and like, you know, like you're kind of going a little crazy, you know, some dudes making fun of your wife. So maybe that's why he went crazy.
Exactly. And also think about this though, Rose. Like, honestly, if I went once to the Academy Awards, great. But after that, like, honestly, like, sitting there for that length of time at even anything, like maybe it would be different if it was like a play or something like this, but even sitting for a play, a fun play,
well, I'm sure they're allowed to get up and go to the bathroom.
Well, no, of course they're like there's probably intermission and stuff, right? But like you're still there, you have to be on the whole time,
right? Because you're like a star.
Exactly.
Right? That's another thing. It must be tiring.
Oh yeah.
Actually, my dad, like I talked to my dad like a few years ago. He was like talking about the royal family, right? Because you know, like I feel like when you're young, you look at, you know, Princess Diana, the prince, and you're like, oh my God, it's glamorous. Like it must be nice to like marry the prince or whatever.
Yeah.
So you think all these things, but then he's like, you know, those royal people, when they go to like a royal wedding, they cannot pee. They're like, they have royal bladders because they can't get up and go to the bathroom.
Oh my God.
Because first of all, like, I mean, I'm sure they are allowed, but I mean, the dresses they wear, because, you know, back in the day in like the medieval times, people like peed in their clothes because they wore these like, you know, crazy dresses.
Super tight corsets and all
stuff
that
like that.
shit, right?
And then they have to like wear these like very fancy outfits and they go to this like royal wedding or whatever event and they sit there for probably longer than 4 hours and they have to always look, you know, good and presentable. And if you think about it as an adult, that sounds like torture.
It does.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be out. Like, you know, if I go out for a nice meal and then have like a little beverage and then go home, that's all I want.
I mean, you might have a few more beverages.
I mean, that's... but what I actually want in my heart of hearts is like, that's my night to end and I'm going to go home.
Yes. I would like to be in bed at a very early time.
Like, I want to be in bed by like 10 o'clock at the latest.
Exactly. So, yeah, it you know, it doesn't really seem like a punishment.
No.
Especially for a seasoned actor. You're right. If you're a new actor, maybe the first 5 years you're really excited. But after a while, like we always talk about, you do something over and over again, it's going to lose its appeal.
Yeah.
So if I can still win an Academy and not have to attend and schmooze.
Yeah, not have to go to the award.
And then just like still get a fucking standing ovation. Like, thanks.
Yeah. Be like, okay, thanks. You can send in my award in the mail.
And like, I'm sorry, these people at the fucking Academy, they always act like they're such moral, like, oh, we're holier than thou, we're such moral people. We have a board of governors.
Exactly. And we want to give people time. We just only hope that this can begin a time of healing and restoration
people are so fucking
for all involved and impacted.
Who won a goddamn Academy? Roman Polanski, okay? My dude. He was Polish and French. Mm-hmm. Basically, he's like a famous like director. You've heard of this man.
I think so.
He sounds familiar, right?
Yeah, he does sound familiar.
So basically, like years ago, I guess he was like convicted. I think he was like pretty much charged. I don't know if he was. What's the difference? Charged means you were accused.
Yeah, and
correct?
Convicted means you were actually
right.
Yeah.
So he like basically. Oh no, he was convicted unlawful sexual intercourse with a minor.
Yeah.
Okay, and then he like fled to France or somewhere where he can't be like extradited.
Yeah.
And so he's like he's not coming back to the States because that's where he's like being charged.
Yeah.
So basically, he still after that happened, after his conviction, still won an Academy Award, still got a standing ovation. So fuck God. You and your morals, okay?
That's crazy.
Like, stop. Like, I don't understand why it's like, don't even pretend. Listen, it's fine. I guess you can separate the person from the art, maybe. But then don't act like you're like, oh, like we have to ban him and oh my God.
The thing is, so another, like I was just to digress briefly, but I just started, I haven't watched it, but I like saw it a little bit of it on Netflix. And there's a series about Jimmy Savile. Have you heard about the Jimmy Savile story?
No.
So apparently, and I actually, because I didn't grow up in the UK, I'm from there, but I didn't like grow up there. And I guess Jimmy Savile or Savile or whatever, he's like he was like a British icon. Like he was like huge in the like 70s, 80s, 90s. And he was like everywhere. He was doing like broadcasting and all kinds of stuff. And he had this show where he was
like a journalist or?
No, he did like.
He's an actor?
All kinds, like weird stuff. He'd
TV
be like,
person.
TV personnel.
Sure.
That's what I would say. And he had this show, all kinds of shows where he would like, one of them was like giving kids their wishes and stuff and like doing random stuff.
No.
Well,
I feel like I know where this is going.
So he did this and he was like a British treasure, right? Everyone was like, he was like an icon. But as he was like going in his career, I started watching this documentary, like a little bit of it's on Netflix. And it showed clips of like his interviews back in the day. And also I guess there was people that came forward. It was girls. It was all girl. I think all girls. I'm not 100% sure, but basically underage and other girls as well that would just come forward and be like, I was, taken advantage of or whatever else. And a lot of it was just like swept under the rug at the time. Because they were like, oh, it's Jimmy Savile. Like, why would he do this? And then it all came out later after, like, do you know what I mean? So, and people were like, it like shocked the nation, but I was like, a lot of people had come forward, I think already, or leading up to that point, they've kind of made indicators, maybe not fully like tried to charge him and stuff, but it was like, it's crazy. So there's the shit that goes on. There was him, there was like another director as well. That was, no, he wasn't a director. No, he was, in the US. Harvey Weinstein.
Oh yeah, Harvey Weinstein. Yeah. That's a huge case.
Yeah, like, and it's just crazy. And like, we know that Hollywood and that industry isn't the best. Same with the music industry. There's a lot of weird stuff that goes on, guys. But hopefully,
well, think about like what's that guy? The family show sitcom, 90s sitcom, old black man.
Oh, Bill Cosby.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was the biggest shock.
I know. That was
he
crazy.
Was like family man.
I know, and he seemed like such a nice guy. Like he was like very like, hey, like, I don't know. He just seemed like, again, that was like the equivalent of like, no, I wouldn't say the equivalent, but like Jimmy Savile was very that for the British people. Like a very like somebody that like is like your
you would
dad.
just trust them. Yeah.
I know. Like,
do you think they like become famous and then it like warps their brain?
I think that part of the problem is like, because a lot of that behavior and stuff that they're doing, like it stems from like maybe stuff that happened when they were younger as well themselves. And so I think a lot of it
with that as well with Jimmy.
I don't know if it was with Jimmy. I don't know what happened with him per se. But I know for like a lot, like the whole like R. Kelly case, there's other ones where it comes out later that there was something that happened to them or
before in the past.
Exactly. And then it kind of caused their brain to develop a certain way.
True.
Yeah. So I'm not saying
we don't know their history.
Exactly. I'm not saying that's the case for everyone, guys, but like a lot of these cases where you know, there are, you know, what we deem as sexually deviant behaviors.
Sure.
It stems from stuff that happened. Like when you're developing as a child, you are like the most sensitive in your life.
Yeah.
So if you have anything traumatic happen at that time, it has impacts when you get older.
But I think I could be totally wrong. But I feel like with the God, why do I keep forgetting his name?
Bill Cosby.
Bill Cosby.
Yeah.
I feel like with him and like other actors in Hollywood, like I don't know about Harvey Weinstein or whatever, but like other actors in Hollywood that get like, not necessarily for like minors, but they, you know, maybe
like
take advantage of
power.
women. Yes.
Yeah.
So I think that's my theory. And that could be one of the many theories. Of course, you're completely right in that, you know, when someone is young and they get like abused, that carries on.
Yeah.
Especially if it's not dealt with. Right.
Yeah.
And then, but I think my question is, I wonder how much, you know, they were deviant before they got into this like powerful position.
True.
You know, like all these men that are in these like really powerful, like director, like fucking world renowned, like Roman Polanski, Harvey Weinstein, like he directed like fucking Good Will Hunting, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. I think it was
like,
Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah. Like very prominent films and they're very well known. And I feel like that warps their brain. They get like this God complex where they think, oh, like, you know, how can you say no to me kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so messed up.
It is so messed up.
Anyways.
Yeah.
I don't know how we got on this topic. Oh, so Will Smith.
Yeah, Will Smith and the Academy Awards.
Well, a lot of shit came out and people were saying that like, oh, Jada is like evil. And she's like, anyway, so much drama. Like, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day.
I seem to remember, and this is like really not related so much to this story, but like, wasn't it Will Smith and Jada that like, I mean, maybe this was like years ago, guys, and maybe I'm just like thinking of a different couple, but wasn't it like came out that they're like in a
they're like polyamorous
and they like,
well, I don't know exactly.
Yeah.
This all came out as well after this whole thing happened.
Yeah.
I guess they did this like, because Jada has this thing called Red Table Talk, where she does like a talk show. It's kind of like a podcast.
Okay.
So it's like a talk show. And she had Will Smith on and they were talking about the relationship, which I also find kind of weird. Like, you don't have to do that. I don't know why people do this. Like, especially when it's so, I guess if you want to share it, but it was very, I don't know. I saw like a little snippet of it. I was like, this is really uncomfortable. Like, I feel like you should be talking to a therapist, not, you know, I'm sure they do talk to a therapist. Yeah. But anyways, they were saying how, they had like a moment where they like broke up for a bit and then she explored and I don't know, they say they're in like some kind of open relationship. I'm like, okay, you guys can keep that to yourselves. Like, you don't have to tell everyone everything. Like,
exactly. Well, and I heard that they were both like bisexual as well. Is that true? Like, they were,
I don't know,
open and poly and whatever. But anyway, not that it matters.
That's great for them. You know, if it works, it works. And you know, if you're happy, you're happy. But if you're not happy, then well, maybe you can just slap someone in the face.
Yep.
I still stand by, you know what, if he was that fucking angry, again, my last point to prove that this was fake is he was so mad when he went to keep your wife's name out of your fucking mouth. This guy's a big guy. He could have just punched him. A lot of guys say, most guys, when they're pissed, they don't just slap a motherfucker. They punch a motherfucker. But anyway.
Anywho,
maybe he was mad, but just not that mad.
Exactly. This is true. Maybe who knows, guys? We're never gonna know.
Don't punch people, okay? Don't slap people. Don't punch people.
Don't touch people.
Yes, people.
Don't touch people.
Don't be slapping people.
I don't know why I said people like that, but anyway, don't slap people.
Anyway, next story.
But just
we're done. Oh, we're not done. Okay.
No, we're done. I just saw a little like ad on here though.
Yeah.
And. This is going to sound so mean, but it's saying here, I guess Samuel L. Jackson and Charlie D'Amelio to present at the Kids' Choice Awards. Well, that's probably one of the most, not Samuel L. Jackson, but Charlie presenting at a fucking award show.
Wow. Samuel.
I know.
That's an all-time low for you.
I know. Well, you know, and I'm like, that's not going to be a very interesting presenter. That's for sure. Anyway, that's my hate train today, guys.
That's why they put Samuel L. Jackson.
Of course, because like
her. And you know what? I mean, it's a kids award show, so maybe that's why it makes sense marketing wise to put Charlie D'Amelio there. Yeah, Daniel is a big fan of Charlie D'Amelio.
I'll still never understand, okay?
We're too old to understand.
One of her like exes or part of that group, that Nolan guy, or I think it's Noah or something.
Okay.
He also has like a bazillion followers on fucking TikTok. So
God,
I was like,
these people.
Yeah, I was going through and he came up on my TikTok and I was like, oh, this is like related to her.
Okay.
I think an ex or something of that sort. And literally this video had like I don't know, so many million views. And it was like the most boring thing. And you could just tell he does this like such fake smile. Like,
is he like super attractive?
No, I don't think he's attractive at all. Oh, well, no, that's mean to say. It's not that I don't think he's attractive at all. He's like got a, he works out. He's got a really nice body.
Like if you were like 15, would you think he's attractive?
Yeah, probably.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then that's it, right? So
I mean, it's probably a good thing we don't find him attractive.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so next story.
Oh God.
So very interesting one.
Yep.
Ketanji Brown Jackson became the first Black woman to sit on Supreme Court after so many people were so fucking racist. Holy shit.
Oh my God.
I'm actually shocked sometimes at how racist this world still is.
Well, and also like some of the comments, they were like trying to paint her as like this kind of extremist that was like that caught like that. It says like coddled criminals, but like they would like read things or they would like really try to put her on the spot. Like, oh, I remember one of the famous ones was like, can you define a woman?
Oh yeah.
And then she's like,
people freaked out.
Yeah, and then she's like, well, my job as a like working on the Supreme Court is not to like necessarily define. My job is to like evaluate the law.
Right.
And so like if I had two people with different definitions of a woman come forward,
yeah,
we would work and see and base it on precedent,
which is a great answer.
Which is what you like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, because no matter how she answers that, it's not going to be. Like someone is gonna hate her, right?
Oh, of course.
So that's why she had to say what she had to say.
Oh, this is what's so funny. Not funny. So I'm just like scanning through this and I remember. So I guess a big part of this. So that whole like conversation that we saw, because we've been talking about, Ketanji Jackson for like, because we talked about her in another episode just briefly.
Very briefly.
So this has been kind of ongoing the last little while, and then there was a vote that was held, right? Mm-hmm. And the vote was confirmed. It was 53 to 47. So it was like not even like a huge vote to have her, it was like just over.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Just over that.
And let me guess, most of the people that voted against are Republicans.
Yeah.
Okay.
Only 3 of the Republicans joined the 50.
Of course.
Of the Democrats backing her. So the interesting thing was, I was watching again SNL. I was talking about this. And one of the things that came up is one of the people were like chatting with a person that was supposed to be Ketanji Jackson. And they were like, oh, this is such a monumental moment. This was like an old leader or something. And he was like, this is fantastic. Like this must have been a landslide vote, to get you in as the first female person of color. And she was just like, yeah, I just 53 to 47. Like I just like
I just made the cut.
Yeah. Like
what do you have to do to get onto this like thing?
I don't really know.
It's really interesting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I really don't know how you get on the Supreme Court. It's again with all U.S. like politics and law and all that stuff. I mean, even to be fair, the Canadian, I don't really
I know
fully understand everything that goes on there. But I mean, it's a huge moment, I think. But I think it's funny that like this is something that we're talking about in 2022.
I know, like it happened so late, basically. Yeah. I mean, judging by how many Black people live in the States.
Exactly.
Like, and how many women.
I know.
It's so crazy.
But this is where I'm like, people argue. They're like, oh, in some ways we've come really, really far, but in other ways we haven't really changed that much at all.
Uh-huh.
And like one of the like not key indicators, but like one thing, like, because they talk about, especially like women in the workplace and everything else. And like women that need to get more like senior roles, and we need to have diversity and inclusion and everything. And if you look at like most of the major companies out there, like the board of directors or like the C-suite of staff, like it's the same group of people.
Yeah.
Like very similar. There might be a woman thrown in there.
Yeah.
Maybe one person of color. They're very, but when you look at the representation of like what the makeup is of the country, people aren't represented.
I know. But I also think that it's such a complex issue that we have to fix so many other things aside from just because I don't really like it when people are like, oh, we need to just put more women in the company.
Of course, yeah.
Just put more women in there, or hiring people just because they're this. Yeah. I get it to a certain degree. I understand there needs to be a balance, but I think there's so many factors that need to change. Like for example, the fact that women are still the primary caregivers of children and are expected to be, whereas men are expected to be at work the next day after your child's born. So that's another like difference in culture. So that shifts. Of course, that means that a man is going to get ahead, whereas a woman is going to be on maternity leave for a year. So, of course, she's not going to make the promotion.
So she'll have that gap in her career.
Exactly. And then also the fact that a woman is expected to always juggle the two things, whereas a man can focus on the career.
Yeah.
And then there's just so many other factors. It's just like, so we need to change so many things from like so many different levels. So it's difficult. But yeah, I mean, and also, of course, in Black communities, there's poverty. And so that leads to less, you know, opportunities.
Yeah.
And the public school systems suck in certain parts of the, you know, poverty-stricken parts of the U.S. And so many factors.
You're right. There is so many factors. And I think, like, it's just, there does need to be a mindset shift around that. And you're right. Cause like, ultimately it goes back to like that. And we've talked about this again in the podcast before about how interesting it is when you see interviews, and maybe this has changed a little bit, but I don't think it has too much. When you see interviews or talks with like senior, you know, revolutionary CEOs, or, you know, people that are really like changing industry challengers and breakers. And if they happen to be men, the questions are directed a certain way, right? As soon as that person is a woman, the questions are automatically directed on about the stuff that she had to sacrifice to get there. You know, like, did you have to sacrifice your family? How does your husband and your kids feel about you doing this? Whereas for the men, that's generally, from what I've seen, it's like very rarely brought up, if it is. It
would be like weird to bring that up, which is so fucked.
I know, because like if you said to this like a man that was like, you know, a game changer or whatever it was, and we're at like a TED talk or something, you know, and then someone's like, oh, like how do your wife and kids, like how do they feel about you sacrificing that time to focus on your career? We'll be like, well, this is the normal thing. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? How do they feel? I give them a good life.
Yeah. So it's like a weird, I mean, and I get that it's because like it's so soon. If you think about it, just like in 50s and 60s, women barely worked, right?
Yeah.
So it is very, very, you know, it's an early time for women to be working, which is kind of crazy to think about. Because now it's like very normal for women to be working. Like we all have to be working in this economy. We all got to be working.
Well, this is, I think, another big shift though, is, you know, 50, 60 years ago, you could have one breadwinner.
Exactly.
You like in 90% of the time, or 95% of the time, it was the man, right? Like, and you know, the wife stayed at home and did all the housework and did everything because she didn't have to work full time.
Exactly.
Whereas now, especially now with inflation and everything else, it's like both parties
are expected to work.
You both gotta, and then the responsibility is still kind of pushed on the woman for everything else.
So it needs to be even.
Yeah.
Like I get that we have to work, but it shouldn't all fall on the woman.
Yeah.
And I was having a discussion about this with my girlfriends this weekend, and then like basically we were like, long story short, we're talking about how like the bar for men is so low that it, like if they make themselves, especially like for older men, like maybe our parents' generation, you know how our parents' generation men are.
Yeah.
It's like if a man makes a meal by himself, it's like fucking
Academy Award. Let's get him an Oscar.
Ovation.
Yeah. But it's like,
my God, the world has stopped. I'm so proud of you. You win a fucking award.
I know. It's funny because it's like
for himself too, not even for like other people.
Yeah.
Whereas a woman makes an entire meal 3 times a fucking day potentially for their family, and like it's just expected.
Yeah, but it's interesting because that's like also with housework. Because like, for example, if like, especially the older generation of men, guys, like I don't know about like my generation so much, but still a little bit. Yeah. Like they'll do something. Like let's say they God forbid load the dishwasher. It's like they go around the house and make an announcement. They're like, by the way, you're welcome. I've loaded the dishwasher. And I'm like, well, why is that? Why are you saying you're welcome? Yeah. Was that my job? Like, is that what I'm supposed to do every fucking day? And you've now saved me from doing it. It's everyone's fucking responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
what about the last 50 times I did it?
Exactly. You're welcome for all the times I fucking loaded up the dishwasher. Thank you very much. But it's funny because it's just that expectation, right? Like the expectation is that the woman or the wife is doing all this stuff. So like if the man, God forbid, does do the dishes or vacuums, it's like, oh, by the way, honey, I vacuumed for you. Yeah. It's like, no, you didn't vacuum for me. You vacuumed for the house.
Yes.
It's not my job.
Exactly.
But that's like the default is to think, oh, I've taken this off your plate. I've done this for you because I'm such a good husband.
I know. It's like the bar is so low. Again, but I'm sure it'll change, you know, with the next generations and stuff. But it is funny how, like I think like basically we're like maybe the first generation where we're kind of seeing that real change. Yeah. Whereas like, our parents' age, like.
But I think our generation's an interesting one because I think also there's still some people that are like, it's still kind of somewhat expected. Like,
I think so. I think just not because we were raised by that family, right? Exactly. So that family dynamic, like, even for me, and I mean, you don't have any sisters, but like for me, I definitely definitely like felt that as I was being raised that
Yeah.
I was expected to do more of the housework.
Yeah.
And the boys might do a little bit, but I'm just always there doing it, and they're playing fucking games. If they pick up a dish, it's like,
and you'd be like, fuck you. I want to sit and play video games all day. Okay.
I know. And if I do it, it's like, oh my God.
Yeah. Or if you're
what a troubled child.
I know. Oh, why are you sat playing video games? Come help your mom.
Yeah. Literally.
It's like, I have 2 siblings sitting here.
Why me?
Why me? Don't pick me. I don't want to be picked.
I didn't choose to have a vagina.
I didn't choose this life.
I know. I mean, men have their own issues. I know.
Yeah, for sure.
It's all a big problem. We need to like normalize people doing, just, people just being
collaborative and doing things together,
Yes.
So
anyway, I don't know how we got to this
we
topic.
just digress really,
Anyway, good news. Finally, we have a black woman. Fucking hell in the goddamn Supreme Court.
Yeah, but you know what the worst part is about this whole thing? I mean, it's fantastic. Like, I think in many ways, again, the worst part is like, okay, we're in 2022. Like, oh my God. Like, it took this long.
I know.
And then also, though, leading up to her getting the vote,
backlash.
Oh my
I know.
God. The comments.
That's how I heard about this situation.
Exactly. Like
because I didn't know. I don't know anything about the Supreme Court. So
me neither. So
the reason why I heard about it is because of the crazy comments.
Yeah. So I think the fact that she had to go through all of this just to get to that point is pretty sad.
Like, cause some of the things that they were saying, basically, they're like, "Oh my God, what are her credentials? Like, what are her this?" I'm like, "Do you ask that of every nominee?"
No, definitely not. They don't.
Exactly.
This
it's
is
like,
what's bullshit.
It's the same thing as when Obama was always asked, like, "Were you born in the States?"
I know. Were you born here?
Where's your birth certificate?
I know. Oh, and then there was that whole scandal about the birth certificate about Obama.
Yeah.
Remember? They were like, oh, he's actually born somewhere else. God forbid. It's like, you know what? Even if he was.
You're allowed to be a U.S. citizen.
Exactly. You immigrated. But he was legit born in the U.S.
I know.
That's what's so ridiculous about this whole thing. It's like.
I know.
I can't even believe that came up as a question.
I know. It's so crazy.
Like, did anyone ever ask Donald Trump? Because he could be a fucking immigrant.
Yeah. Are these people actually, like, do you think they actually know that they're racist? Or do you think they don't think that they're racist?
I mean, did you ever watch any of those YouTube videos of the Trump supporters?
So what's your answer? I have. Do you think they're like straight up racist, or do you think they're not racist?
I think some people don't realize that it's like a subconscious thing
Right.
where they're like,
but it's just so obvious.
I know. Well, to us.
Right.
Right. But I think some people, they don't think like, again, I'm sure a lot of people will. And they'll be like, okay, you shouldn't be asking that. But there's a lot of people that would ask that question and not realize, like, maybe that the intent necessarily initially wasn't to be racist, but they're just like, is he from this country? Like, I don't know.
Right. It's like a bias that you're not aware of, but it's so strong.
Yeah, it's an unconscious bias. Right. Like,
right.
It's
like all of a sudden, like an old white woman just sees like a black man and is like immediately afraid.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like kind of like an unconscious bias.
Exactly. It's like an unconscious, like, kind of, thing. And it is a little bit racist, but it is. But maybe it's not something that you're deliberately going out to, like, you have this kind of, it's a lot of gray area though.
Yeah.
Like, it's
very interesting.
Yeah. But anyway,
good news. Finally, I'm sure she'll have a wonderful time.
Yeah, she's gonna
doing
really
this
enjoy.
job. It's gonna be a hoot.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure we won't see her name in the news every single day.
Nope. And the interesting thing is like, from my understanding about the Supreme Court is like, when cases get up to that level,
right,
they are already usually in a political storm, or
right. It's like a big deal.
Yeah, and then they're going to be making, obviously, the Supreme Court makes decisions on the final decisions on these cases, from my understanding, because you appeal to the Supreme Court,
right,
and then. Of course, she's going to get backlash. She's going to get all sorts. So it's going to be a very...
I'm sure she's a very strong woman.
I think she is.
To make it to that level.
Well, and to sit there and have all those people ask her those ridiculous questions.
So fucking stupid.
I think that she, she held her own. Like,
and what kind of dumbass question is like, define a woman?
I know.
How irrelevant.
I know.
Like, I know they're trying to... I know the whole trans thing is like a big thing.
Yeah.
But it's like so stupid. What real world consequences do you have from asking that stupid ass fucking question?
It's just dumb.
Stupid.
They were being really dumb. I wish I could remember all the comments that were said, because there were some other ones that were like so ridiculous. I think one of them, the Republican got out like a child's book and like started reading some stuff from it, because it was like a book that she like, I don't know the whole story on that one, guys.
Was it too woke?
Yeah.
Oh,
and he was
is
like,
that what it
should
was?
we be teaching kids this? I can't remember what it was.
Speaking of which, we need to talk about the whole like drama. Have you heard this drama against Don't Say Gay bill?
No.
You haven't heard it?
No.
Daniel,
I told you
this is about your people.
I'm the worst gay. I'm like the worst gay in the village, guys.
You are the worst gay in the village.
Like, literally.
Okay, so I mean, I've heard of it many times, but I don't know if I fully know like all of the, I mean, okay, here's the thing. I've heard it from both sides.
Yeah.
And each side seems to have a different take on what the bill is.
Okay.
So basically it's about in schools. Okay. So let's just see here. Don't Say Gay bill becomes law in Florida, banning sexual orientation instruction from kindergarten to grade 3. Okay. So basically they say that you're not allowed to talk about, you know, gayness.
Yeah.
Until like after grade 3. So what they're saying is, so the left wing is saying that this is obviously, in my opinion, it is like a problematic thing because we don't like, I don't know the full details of this, but basically what they're saying is that it's very vague in terms of if a teacher even, you know, mentions, like, let's say a teacher is like a lesbian and says, oh, like, you know, my wife, and then the kid asks, asks about the dynamic. Yeah. She's not really allowed to talk about it. Yeah. Which is kind of stupid, right? Yeah. You should be able to talk about it.
And also, like, just on my side note, like, here is like my personal opinion and what I would love to see. Again, I'm not saying that it has to be like rainbows and unicorns and whatever it might be, but like as you get older and like think about our experience through childhood, like early childhood from like 3 years old until grade 3-ish, that's when we build a lot of our understanding of like what a relationship is. And like, you know, subconsciously, like we watch a lot of like Disney and have those representations of like, you know, relationships and things like that. And my hope is that eventually that kind of media, there are going to be alternative stories where there will be like a normalized healthy gay relationship, a lesbian relationship. There's going to be someone trans, because this is the world that we're in, guys. Like, you know, like if I happen to get a partner and we adopt a child, like, don't say gay bill, like they have 2 dads, like, you know what I mean? They're going to grow up with 2 parents. And actually there was a really powerful, I wish I could remember what it was, but there was like this kid, I can't remember why he was like in court or doing something, but he was basically defending his like same-sex dads, right? And he was like you know, he was going to law school, he was like doing a bunch of stuff.
Oh, they say that kids from gay parents do very well.
Yeah. And he was like, he was straight himself, like he had a girlfriend, and he was like, that didn't impact
You mean
him.
He didn't become gay thanks to his parents?
This is what's so dumb. It's like
so stupid.
Yeah. Like,
so yeah, basically, what I completely agree. Yeah. And the problem is that the Republican side, of course, it's the Republican side that wanted to pass
it always is.
Yeah. And what they're saying is they're too young to be indoctrinated. And first of all, like, I think the problem is that they think that being gay is like immediately you're talking about like sex. Yeah. Like, it's exactly. Oh, like you're teaching kids about penis and penis. Like, exactly. You know, it's like, no. Oh. So like, for example, let me just read this. Okay. So it says DeSantis, which is like the governor of Florida, and Republicans have repeatedly said that the measure is reasonable and that parents, not teachers, should be broaching subjects of sexual orientation and gender identity with their children. So basically they're saying we shouldn't be talking about sexual orientation. But it's like,
but I think,
again, I feel like they're saying, they think it's talking about sex.
Exactly. Because the thing is, the way that I envision, or I would see this kind of like playing out is like, for example, when you're going through school, like it doesn't have to be like, oh, exactly. It's not like sex ed or something like this. Like maybe that's like when their kids are a bit older. I don't know when the right age for that is either. But like in terms of like when they're young and stuff, like I think there's nothing wrong. And I think it actually would be better if they had like, for example, they're drawing they have a house picture or something and they have 2 dads. Yeah. Like little things like that, you know, like just to normalize that. Like, exactly. Because you know what,
they don't want to normalize it though.
Exactly. And you know what? Because guaranteed one of those kids nowadays will have two moms, 2 dads. You know, all kinds of different family structures where it's like, we're not trying to sexualize this or do anything like we just want to normalize it, where it's like, what we should be focusing on more is like what constitutes a healthy relationship. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like what about those things versus who you're with? And there's like that whole thing about like, oh, they're going to become gay, or this is going to be like it's going to influence them to become homosexual. And it's like, I would really strongly disagree with that. Yeah. Because I would say, what this would do is it would help them to foster what they would want in a healthy relationship with a partner, either the opposite sex or the same sex, because I know that there's still like nobody knows for sure if it's nature versus nurture, but I'm like very much in the camp of nature.
Yes.
Only because our society, guys, and the society that I grew up in and the society I was nurtured in was a heterosexual society.
Exactly.
So just in that argument alone, I shouldn't be gay.
Exactly.
Like it shouldn't even have crossed my mind.
And even in societies where it's like illegal.
Yeah. Well, exactly. This is the whole point. It's like if it was 100% the nurture element, like then you would not have gay people.
Yeah.
This would not be a thing, but it's because it's not. It's something that you're born with.
Exactly.
Your sexual preference of gender, from my experience and my own personal belief, is something that very much you're born with.
Yeah.
So.
And like this is just crazy. He says, we will make sure that parents can send their kids to school to get an education, not an indoctrination. Because what? They're going to sit their kids down and say, hey, guys, let's all become gay together.
Exactly. Oh, my God.
Like,
it's so
what
frustrating.
the fuck? It's so stupid. Just because you talk about here's the thing. Kids, you're right. It's like, first of all, they are undermining children. Like, I get that kindergarten is very young, grade 3, very young. But I had crushes in kindergarten, in grade 1. I liked boys since then. Yeah. So what if I liked girls?
Yeah.
And I was so confused because everything else, the thing is, these people are acting like it's indoctrination to talk about gay relationships. Is it not indoctrination to then push only straight relationships?
Exactly.
Because there's clearly other relationships that exist outside of the norm of straight relationships.
That's why it's so stupid, though. That's why it's like, honestly, it's like the stupidest thing. And like, again, I'm not saying you have to show the kids when they're 5 years old hardcore porn. You know what I mean? Like, that's not what we're talking about. It's just like, again.
You mean we can't play gay porn in schools?
God damn. Like, just like normalizing and
how's
having
it indoctrination?
I know. But like, that's why I'm like, I still feel like we have a long way to go in terms of like, because I would love to see it where it's like Disney, for example.
Well, let's talk about Disney.
Yeah.
They're in the news. Did you hear?
I did not hear about this. God
Can you?
damn.
Do we not have a podcast?
I heard about other stuff. What's going on with Disney? Maybe I hear it.
Seriously, you're the worst gay in the village.
Refresh my memory. Is it about them releasing, they're going to have like a gay cartoon or something?
Yeah, so basically, I think the CEO or, one of the high people in Disney, I guess she has some transgender kids or something like that.
Okay.
I don't know the full details, but basically she came out and was like, I want to be more inclusive and have more, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Have more representation, which is fair. Okay. Yeah. Because all we see, this is the thing, they see this as indoctrination.
Yeah.
But it's just showing
what
kids
exists
the
in
representation
the world.
of different relationships.
Exactly.
It's not indoctrination to show the fact that there are actual like different relationships out there. Anyways, they came out and said, and of course the Republicans lose their fucking shit.
Of course they would, yeah.
And Ben Shapiro, lovely Ben Shapiro.
Oh God. Probably Candace Owens is on this boat as well.
Probably. He came out and he was like, Disney is indoctrinating our kids and they're planning on doing this and this and this. And so he's saying he's going to invest like $100 million in his little corporation, like his media corporation, to basically counteract the indoctrination of Disney to our kids. And I'm like, dude, first of all, I mean, if you actually look at Disney movies from when we were kids, not always the best message.
No.
Like Little Mermaid, like Homegirl, like, she literally lost her voice to be with a man she never even met.
Yeah.
Because he was hot.
Yeah.
Like that's the story.
Yeah.
Abandoned her family.
Yeah.
Not really great values. Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're not really looking to Disney to teach our kids all the values.
No, exactly. And this is the thing, like, it's the same with not even just Disney, but like mainstream Hollywood. Like, it would be really nice because they have all these like, because they always have like a stereotypical cast gay couple or whatever. It would be nice if it was just like, again, normalized. I'm not saying every single relationship has to be, but if you think about like even like Marvel or Superman or all of these like heroes and all of this stuff, it's always heterosexual couples.
Yeah.
Or like 99.99999% of the time. And it's like, come on, let's have some other people or like, the big movies we watched as kids, like, all of them have like, like Mean Girls. The main thing is like, between, I mean, they did have the token gay guy in there.
They always have the token gay guy.
Yeah, but it's like
they always have the token Asian or the token black friend.
Exactly. And it's like, come on, guys, like let's start to see more of like, multiracial couples, you know,
Yeah.
other races being like the star characters and things like that. I know it's like it's still shifting, but it's not fast enough. Have like a Marvel comic or a Marvel thing where maybe the main couple is like a lesbian, like maybe
Daniel,
you know,
that's indoctrination.
I know, or maybe the main couple's gay, because it does exist in fucking normal
Yeah.
society. Like,
and it is important to, again, we're not saying every movie has to be gay couples.
exactly, then definitely
and
not.
like I get it. Like I know sometimes it seems, and to be fair, these big companies, big organizations, they are marketing machines. They want to make money.
Yeah, of course.
So obviously they want to go with, you know, what's trendy and stuff.
Mainstream.
So I get that. But at the same time, it is important to see if you are like a little gay kid and all you see is straight relationships in
Yeah.
media. That's, you know, I feel like that's kind of sad.
It is.
And then that becomes the only reference that you have to gay relationships is potentially gay porn or
Yeah.
potentially like, you know, something that you don't want your kids to see.
Yeah.
So isn't it better that your kids that are inevitably going to be gay or straight or bi or whatever,
Exactly.
isn't it better that they have
Points of reference.
exactly points of reference that potentially is kid friendly?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's fine. Obviously, I know most of you guys are probably agreeing with this.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's just crazy. I do feel like with all this abortion talk, oh my fucking God.
We're
we have
going
to touch on that.
backwards.
Yeah. So there's a story about that.
Oh, god damn.
The abortion talk and this whole like don't say gay bill, we are going backwards.
Yeah, it's like so stupid.
I feel like they say the pendulum swings.
Yeah.
And we're swinging it back to that, you know, generation.
Oh my god.
So speaking of which,
Yeah.
so we're back to the abortion topic.
Oh god damn.
So this became kind of viral news on YouTube. So this couple, this family vlogging channel, have you heard of them?
I haven't heard of them, but I remember you're
They're very
telling me.
famous on
Yeah.
YouTube. I think they've got like tens of millions of you know, and I'm sure they have a very young audience because their kids are very young. And of course they exploit their kids. And of course they're one of those families that just keep magically popping out babies.
How many they got? Like 7?
I think they got like 4. I don't know.
Still.
They're very young. They're probably
Yeah.
like younger than us.
Oh my god.
And they've got like so many babies. Anyways, and of course they exploit their kids and create like really dramatic scenarios with their kids and all that stuff.
And their kids are like content on their channel.
Of course,
like,
yeah, they're the main content. Anyway, they made. I think they're very Christian, like they're very religious. So of course they are pro. Actually, maybe some Christian people are not pro life, but
Yeah.
they are pro life essentially, or anti-choice, as a lot of people like to call it.
Yeah.
And they made this video, and I watched like the first little bit, and of course I couldn't get through it. They made basically like a documentary titled "Abortion." Period. Documentary. Very dramatic.
Oh god.
And in the beginning, they make it sound like they're trying to be a middle ground. So they're like, oh, you know, there's so much fighting between, you know, pro-choice and pro-life, and we want to be pro-love. And I'm like, oh my fucking God. Anyways, but you just know it's going to be
You know what the path they're going to go down.
exactly.
Yeah.
Anyways, I was watching it a little bit. And of course, one of the first things that people are very mad about, which is understandable, is that they, in the very beginning, start showing numbers of people that died in various genocides around the world as a comparison as to how many abortions there are. So it's like the Holocaust, and you know they'll show, of course, the Holocaust comparisons. Again, can we collectively as a society now decide to never make Holocaust comparisons?
No,
Ever.
we shouldn't do it.
But so in their mind, like a lot of people are saying that, you know, it's disgusting, and
Yeah.
I think in their mind though, like I'm trying to get into their mind.
Yeah.
I think they think that it's a legitimate comparison,
Yeah.
which I think is crazy. Like
Yeah.
I don't think they have the brain power to think logically and you know, look at the differences. But anyway, and then they start, you know, speaking to all these different doctors. And then I was like watching this, and I realized, I was thinking to myself, I was like, you know what? Even though a lot of people that are progressive, right, like left wing, they are pro-choice, meaning like, you know, we want the women to choose. Even though that is the case, I do feel like progressive policies actually prevent abortions more
Yeah.
than the conservative policies. Because if you think about it, what is one of the most progressive things that happened in the last like however many decades? Birth control,
Yeah.
condom use. Who is against birth control? Religious fanatics. Religious fanatics.
It's
They
true.
don't like birth control. They don't like condoms.
Yeah.
They don't like contraception. It's like it's not allowed
Yeah.
in like Catholic Church and stuff.
You know, and abstinence is key.
I swear to fucking God. And what's another reason why people have abortions? Okay, so that's one reason because, they don't have birth control, maybe.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're not using birth control.
So it's an accident.
Yeah.
Second thing is they don't have money to take care of a baby. That's a big reason. I was reading up on one of the main reasons people have abortions.
Yeah.
And it's mainly because they are in poverty. They live under the poverty line or like they're very poor. Like anyway, they can't afford a child. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a big reason.
Yeah.
Which
especially makes sense because it's so fucking expensive these days.
It's so expensive.
I can barely afford my own life.
Exactly. And then I'm thinking to myself, okay, so who are the people that want a society where people can afford things? Progressive people that are pro-choice, but really we're the ones reducing abortion rates.
Yeah.
Instead of these fucking, old school abortion laws that don't do anything.
Oh, God.
And it's like, why are they not? Oh, God. I honestly, this couple, I'm just like, okay, why don't you promote more of that, Birth control.
Yeah.
Okay? Prevent it from before it even happens. Like,
yeah.
Prevent it. Like, why do you worry only after the people get pregnant?
It's interesting because I feel like this is quite a trend, not a trend, but a lot of the time, like it was almost like with the whole like anti-masking as well. Like the same people that were anti-mask were like also anti-vax. Like there was, and then it seems like people just want it all. You know what I mean? They want to
pick one.
I know. They're like, we're going to be against birth control, but also we're going to say, hey, you also can't get an abortion.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, so you want people to have unprotected sex, but then if they get pregnant, you also say that they don't have a choice and they have to have the baby.
No, but Daniel, they can only have sex within the confines of a marriage.
Oh, right.
Between man and a woman.
Because that's what everyone does. And that's what a majority of religious people do as well.
I know, right?
We all know that that's not the truth.
Oh my God. Like literally though, isn't that fucking ironic? Like literally, I don't know one single religious person
that's waited till marriage.
Exactly. Not one. These are church going motherfuckers. Okay. Yeah. And they be fucking around. It's like, dude, follow your own morals and then we'll talk.
Yeah, they be having a hot girl spring, summer, fall, and winter, And
listen, it's fine. Go enjoy yourself.
Exactly.
But don't be doing this. Like, what the fuck?
Enjoy yourself with protection.
Yes.
And prevent.
Honestly.
I just unwanted pregnancies.
And it's like, once you have the baby, see you later. We don't give a shit about you.
Sorry about it. You're, you now are financially strapped. And,
oh my God.
Goodbye and see you later.
Yeah. Like, and I know that it is sad. The thing is, like, nobody wants abortions. Like, nobody wants to have an abortion. It's not it doesn't look pretty. And they were interviewing all these doctors that have performed abortions before. And of course, I'm sure it's fucking traumatic. Okay.
Of course. Yeah.
It's not they're like explaining the process.
It's
very
like a
graphic
fun thing to do.
I'm like, okay, so we can talk about this in front of our kids, like the fucking graphic shit that happens, but we can't, mention if someone has two gay dads. Okay.
Oh my God. I know. It's so.
Anyway, it's so fucking stupid. I'm so mad.
I can't.
So then they're like graphically describing how the kids get like how the fetuses get removed and all this shit.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, so then why don't we discuss how to prevent people from getting pregnant?
Yeah. Shocker.
I know. Or discuss how we can support them once they have a baby.
Yeah.
No, you just want to fearmonger about what happens to the fetuses, and then it's see you later. We don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like what the.
It's just going to be one of those topics that is going to continue to enrage me and continue to frustrate me.
I just can't believe we're still talking about it to this day.
I know.
Like, I just remember debating this when I was fucking in junior high or something.
And in university, remember they used to come to our campus and stuff?
Yeah. I thought that was done after.
I know.
It's like, buddy, what's your goal?
You know what? If the pandemic has taught me anything, Rose.
What does it tell you?
There's a lot of very opinionated people out there.
With very small brains.
I wasn't going to say it, but you said it for me. No, it's just been enlightening, I think, and I feel like part of the reason we're going backwards and all this stuff is, these certain extremist groups or more extreme have been very vocal in having their voices heard now.
I don't know.
I really don't know. I don't know, guys. I'm talking absolute craziness now.
Anyway, is there any other stories?
Well, there was one more story. It's a real quick one, guys.
Okay, should we touch on it?
Yeah. So, given we've talked about inflation, we've given all this like crazy shit, and I think this is happening actually globally.
Okay.
How much of an impact it's going to make is time will tell.
Okay.
But I guess Canada has announced as of Thursday last week that they will ban foreign investors from buying homes in Canada for the next 2 years. But But I guess my whole point on this is like, part of the issue, like obviously housing is a very complex issue.
Yes.
Like, and the reason the prices are going up and all this stuff. But part of the problem is like, again, just like everything in life, well, not everything, but like we treat it as like a commodity, right? Like it's treated as like an investment where people can go buy, even though it's a necessity for life, right? Everyone needs this.
It should be a right.
And everyone needs a shelter. Like everyone needs something to live in. And because we've made it so it's like, you know, some people own 40 properties. You know what I mean? Some people own like a lot. And part of the problem is that. Part of the problem is also a lot of companies. There's residential companies out there that own or will build. And don't get me wrong, we need the buildings and the rental units and whatever else. But they also own a lot of the property out there. So it's not just the foreign home buyers, right? So we're saying, okay, I mean, I'm sure it will help a bit, like more in markets like probably Vancouver and Toronto. Yeah. But like, you know,
so you think they should ban kind of, it should go further, essentially?
This is where it gets complicated. Sure. I don't know how far it should go. Like, I think this is good, but like they're only doing it for 2 years, right?
Yes.
And then,
which is a very short period.
Exactly. And then foreign investors can buy again. And my question is like, why, like, I don't know, why are we allowing foreign, I get it, like foreign investment more in business and everything else, but like into the real estate market, because then that impacts all the people that are living there directly.
It's a big problem.
Yeah. And it's like, we've seen it in tons of markets across the world where actually the local economy, the local like residences, like in London's a perfect example of this. They have so much foreign investment from like all these like really wealthy individuals overseas pouring their money into this housing market to make it actually unaffordable for the people that are living there. Yeah. Like that's just...
It drives up the cost. Exactly. And then the people that live there get booted out.
Yeah. Well, and then they always say, oh, you know, we're having a housing shortage. The problem is the housing shortage. And I'm like, well, is it the housing shortage or is it allowing people like foreign investors to buy investment properties? Is it allowing local people as well, the wealthy people that are local, to buy like 40 properties themselves? You know, that also controls the market, right?
Oh God.
So I think but it will be interesting. I think this is a step in the right direction.
Sure.
We'll see what the actual results are, if it will cool down the housing market, but I don't know. We'll see. Like,
yeah, because right now they're saying the housing market is crazy.
Yeah.
And it's very expensive. So it says the budget also includes billions for new housing and measures to help Canadians trying to get into the market, including a new savings account and changes to the first home buyer's tax credit. The government is under pressure to cool an overheated market after prices climbed by more than 20% last year, while rental rates have also been rising. It's a big problem.
Huge.
People be losing their jobs, but the fucking home prices are going up.
Yeah. So this is the issue though. And it's like, you know, it's a short little, you know, the thing is at the end of the day, like salaries just aren't keeping pace. And they talked about inflation as well. Because if you think about it, you have your living costs, then you have your costs of everything else, like your bills, your groceries. And as that keeps increasing, and even like people that are in the middle class, their disposable income starts to get squeezed. So that's their savings. That's everything. It starts to get squeezed and squeezed and squeezed. And then when that happens, you know, they're going to have to start making cuts as well. Like, hey, I can't go out for dinner as much. I can't do this as much. And then local business, it's like a trickle effect. Yeah. Local businesses will get less patrons to go and, you know, frequent those businesses, because the bulk of the middle class, like especially in a place like Canada where a large percentage is middle class, like, you know, from lower to upper, too. It is shrinking. And as this happens, it's going to impact businesses, because even like, I always like think of this example. I think this is a really good example of like, let's say you have a town, and in that town, there's one super wealthy person and like, let's say 1,000 middle class people, and then 100 people that are in poverty.
Sure.
Right. If you think about, if there's one restaurant in town, right, pretend whatever, that really rich person, even if they went out to eat every single day, they would only frequent the restaurant 7 times. Now, if you look at all of the 1,000 middle class that's in that town, they don't have to eat every single day, but because there's so many more of them, even if they go twice or 3 times, that actually is the lifeblood of that restaurant.
Yes.
So as soon as they start getting squeezed and they have to start making cuts to say, actually, I can't afford to go out for dinner anymore, that rich person that's going every single day is not going to be enough to support that business.
Exactly.
So there's like, that's just one, it's a minor example, guys.
That's
but
like and then you can extrapolate that to obviously the world economy, essentially.
Exactly.
So, I mean, yeah, they say that you have to have a strong middle class. And if we can't, we always talk about this. If we have working professionals that are university graduates that can't afford a home in their city, a modest home, not even like a large home.
Yeah, we're not talking about bougie, even like an apartment.
Not even a condo.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
Okay? That is a huge problem because, again, like London is an extreme example, but same with Vancouver, Toronto.
Yeah.
We have friends that live there, working professionals making lots of money that can barely afford, even with two people, two incomes, can barely afford a house.
Yeah.
And they still have to be out in the burbs.
Exactly. And then when they get it, they're like also quite stretched, you know, like their mortgage payment and everything else. And then when the cost of all these goods are going up, they're like, okay, well, we can go out for dinner once a month.
Now we can't do anything. Yeah. Now we can't go traveling. Now we can't stimulate the economy
in other ways. And that's
other ways.
Exactly. And that's going to trickle. And you're right. It's going to impact travel. It's going to impact all of these other things where it's like, fuck, like.
I know. It's so stupid.
And
tax the motherfucking rich.
I just think that there needs to be, I just feel like the government like really, and this is not just in Canada, it's like globally, and it's because who petitions the government, it's like wealthy people and they have more influence. They really skirt around these issues, right? Like these are like banning foreign home buyers, great, but like let's look at who's actually buying the homes.
Yeah.
Who's majority of these? Is it actually foreign home buyers?
Is it? I don't know. What is it?
Again, I don't know the stats, guys. So it could be. Maybe this will make a huge impact. But is it also like maybe foreign home buyers make up like 10%?
True.
Which is still a lot. And then maybe there's like, you know, building corporations, investment corporations.
Yeah. And lots of people that also buy like investment properties, right? Yeah. And like, I get it, like to some degree, maybe you have one investment property, but then when, you know, some people have like multiple. Yeah. And then that's when it's like, oh, I don't know, man. Well, like I get it. Don't hate the player, hate the game. But at the same time, like, ugh.
But then I'm just like, when, you know, that's where I'm like, I like have a dichotomy about it. Cause I'm just like, you know, if I had the money, would I have an investment property?
Exactly.
You know, the same thing. Right. But I'm like, at what point does it like start impacting the economy, and I'm getting like selfish as well.
Exactly.
Myself taking all of these resources from other people that trying to buy houses, you know? So
and it's a big problem even in, you know, places like, for example, Spain. Yeah. I heard that one of the big problems is that when Airbnb came out, all these people would, instead of renting it out to the local people, they would just Airbnb their place because it was more profitable. Well, so then it just becomes like, again, you can't really hate on the people doing that because obviously they're making a lot more money, and you know, again, Spain, times are tough, you know, you gotta make money. But at the same time, if there's no regulations, then the people that live in those cities, they can't afford a place to live.
Exactly. Well, this is exactly this. There's actually a lot of places now that are starting to put restrictions in. Yeah. Because of, and this is what needs to happen. Again, people are always like, oh, you know, capitalism, just let it run free and the market will correct itself and everything will be fine. And it's like bullshit because, you know, as soon as you have these kind of like chances for people to make money, and I'm not hating the people for doing it, like again, like they need to make money and they need to try to figure out ways to do that, but like if there is no regulation, so a lot of places, I don't know if Spain's doing it per se, but like I know a lot of places are starting to ban short-term rentals, right? Or they'll say, like, for example, if you owned a house and you had like a room or like something that you couldn't actually rent out like long term, that could be an Airbnb. But if you had like a full apartment where someone could rent with a full kitchen and everything else, they're like, no,
so you can't do the private homes.
Exactly. So they're having to step in and say, look, that's actually not fair, because you're right, the local people, because now the supply of actual long-term rentals dwindles and then rent skyrockets.
Exactly.
Because there's like 50 people in 2 rentals.
Exactly.
So it's crazy, guys.
I know. It's so crazy. What's with the world?
God damn. I don't know.
God damn. And on that positive
note, guys.
I thought we were ending with this is a positive news.
Yeah, it's positive. So we'll see what reaction.
It's a step in the right direction with Trudeau and the government, you know. We'll see. Yeah. We'll see if it makes a difference or if anything changes at all. Yeah.
It'll be interesting because if over the next 2 years, nothing changes.
Yeah. It'll be interesting.
Yeah. And then, or if there's like a really great dramatic impact, maybe they might just say, hey, let's extend this or let's see what happens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like, I don't know. Again, I also have a problem, and maybe this is a bad way to look at things, because like I still don't like it when someone has like, I think there's a point of question when somebody has so many rental properties. Yes. What that number is, guys, I don't know. But if you have like so many, it's like, but I also have a kind of not more of an issue, but also I'm like, if the person isn't even in the country, and they're buying investment properties here, I'm kind of like, you don't even live here.
I know.
Like, that's not like,
bitch, you don't even live here.
Exactly. You're not even part of this like community. You're outside of this and you're just basically using Canada to make money.
Exactly.
Like
they're literally like that should be illegal. Like you're not a citizen here.
Yeah.
Like what are you doing?
Yeah, and I get it. Like they're saying, oh, we need foreign investment in business and stuff.
Yeah.
Sure, you have like a lot of the companies here are international. They trade and whatever. That makes sense. Buy some shares, buy some stocks, do what you got it. But like if you're like impacting the residential like housing market, I'm just kind of like, oh, I just don't know. That's
you might. Canada, we have a strong economy. Like actually, I don't know. We did. I don't know.
I think we still relatively.
As in, like we're not like a poor country. Okay?
We're rich. We have a lot of resources.
And we have educated, population. Like we're good, Stop with the fucking, we don't need, like, we're not like, as what I'm saying is we're not like a developing country that like is desperate for foreign investment.
Yeah.
So it's like, stop screwing over Canadians that need homes. And in Vancouver and Toronto is absolutely crazy.
It's
like,
insane.
It is unaffordable.
And Calgary's getting up there too.
It's going to start. It's going to trickle to other cities that hasn't been affected that much.
Well, it already has, because you hear about people from Toronto and Vancouver now. If they're able to work remotely, they're starting to come to Calgary market to buy houses here because it's cheaper. And then that's just going to drive up the price here.
Exactly.
So it's like it has knock-on effects, guys.
And like, then people that live in Toronto and Vancouver that have a lot of money, maybe they're buying investment properties in Calgary.
Yeah, because it's cheaper here to buy a house. So yeah, let's see what happens. Let's keep a finger on the pulse, guys. We'll keep an eye. And
there should be a cap, 1 extra house per person. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, like
but because the problem is, I think like for so many years we have been told constantly that like real estate is
a good investment.
Yeah, it's a good investment, and yeah, you're right, sure, but at the same time, at what cost?
Yeah.
So now we have so many people because people want easy money, right?
Yeah.
And in some ways, real estate is easy money. I mean,
it has been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because all you have to do is, as long as you have money, you buy the investment, then you just rent it out.
Yeah.
And then
sell it a year later for like double what you bought it.
Exactly. So you don't really do much work with it. Yes, I'm sure, again, depending on your situation, some people like they have a horrible tenant and they have to deal with a lot of shit. Like I wouldn't want to deal with that. But, we've been constantly told like, oh, real estate is good investment. Oh, I'll just buy a place and rent it out. How many people have said that?
Yeah.
I'll just rent it out. I've said it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll just rent it out.
Yeah.
We talk about it like it's not a big deal at all. And then we don't think about the wider implications of that. So when somebody has a ton of money, they can literally just live off of, and a lot of people do live off of rental income.
Yeah.
Which, again, don't hate the player, but at the same time, I don't know. Like, it's just iffy. It's just like, ugh.
Yeah. And that's where also, though, too, like, for example, again, we're not hating on the people that do this. And, like, probably maybe if I had the money, I'd have a couple rental properties and whatever else. But, like,
one max.
Yeah. One max. But, like, imagine, like, you paid off that property now, right?
Yeah.
And you're renting it out. And yet you're still doing, even though you're making good money from it, every year you're still increasing the rent.
Right.
You don't have a mortgage on it. You don't have anything.
Yeah. I know. I don't know how I feel about this whole rental thing. Yeah. Like, I don't blame people.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense to some degree.
Yeah.
I get it. But then I'm like, yeah, it is a problem. But I do think private landlords, maybe they're not the biggest issue.
No, I don't think
right? It is the corporations buying up so many things.
Well,
the mega rich buying multiple properties, leaving it to just sit. And
I heard. I don't know if it was in the States, but I heard that like one of the problems is like, a lot of these like big investment firms, they'll own actually like a lot of property.
Right.
Like they'll invest in like huge amounts of property and they become like, I can't remember what the stat is, guys. I'll try to find it at some point, but I think it was like something like 20% of the property in the US or something was owned by like hedge funds and all this other stuff. Like, and that's the problem, really.
Right.
Like, because that's what's a huge part of the market.
We've had this discussion where like recently I've been seeing in downtown in our city, Calgary, we're seeing so many rental only property, like big buildings, like high rises being built, like multiple. Like I used to live in a rental only, and and then now I'm thinking, the more I see, like a part of me is like, okay, it's kind of cool that we're building more properties in downtown, but then a part of me is thinking this is gonna like kind of fuck up the market even more because all these private landlords that thought, oh, okay, like real estate, good investment, or maybe they have one extra property that they're renting out. They're not necessarily swimming in the dough, but they have a little bit of extra income. Now they're probably going to be screwed over because they can't compete with these big corporations that have all these great amenities in these buildings, but they don't have to charge so much because they're backed up by, again, their big corporation. So their costs, they have economies of scale or whatever. So I think that's going to be potentially an issue, and maybe it already is an issue that private landlords are going to face. So maybe even eventually in the next few years, all these companies are going to just, no private landlord, unless they're mega wealthy, is going to be able to make real estate a potential investment even.
Who knows?
Anyways, wow. We just
tuned,
ranted
guys. We
for
did.
a while.
We did.
Anyway, guys, oh my God, thank you so much for listening to our rants as always. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Let us know if you are watching on YouTube. Comment down below. Let us know your thoughts on anything we discussed. Do you think Will Smith is going to suffer from
do you think the ban from the Academy Awards is a worthy punishment? The 10-year ban.
Let us know. Would you attend the Academy Awards 20 years in a fucking row? Okay. And of course, guys, make sure you join our Patreon if you want the episodes ad free and a week earlier than everybody else, so they come out in a timely fashion, which is always great.
And exclusive content.
Every single month. You get a bonus episode every month. And it's always a little bit juicy, a little bit fun. So make sure you join us. It's patreon.com/the SaVeg And what else, Daniel?
Well, don't forget to hit that follow button on whatever podcast platform you are listening to us.
Our Spotify's fixed. Thank the fucking
Lord. Oh my God, that was so annoying. But anyway, we're back on Spotify, guys. Sorry for the little delay with some of those episodes, but that's all back. That's sorted out. So good to go. Hit follow. Then you'll get updated when we do launch new episodes, guys. And also check out our Instagram at the SaVeg Podcast.
Follow us at the SaVeg Podcast. And thank you so much for listening once again.
Guys.
And we'll talk to you guys next week. I can't talk. Oh my God.
Bye.